Okay. Good morning / good afternoon, guys. I'm Lucas Atamoso. I'm a backend developer and I love AWS and CDK. So today I will talk about the first step to AWS CDK. But first, I need to talk about OTT. OTT is a space to share stuff with other teammates. A story, a research, a technology update, all about a new thing or funny history you have to share with us, wherever you want. So if you have someone to share, please write us on Slack and we can take a space to the next Friday. So we start with the main topics. First, I need to share with you some concept about the infrastructure as code and CloudFormation. The infrastructure as code is a process where you create a template file with all resources to deploy in the cloud. That is both human readable and machine consuming. However, in the other part, we have CloudFormation. It's the service from AWS which reads that template file and deploy the resource in Amazon Web Service. For example, we have Lambda and API Gateway, which Lambda is a serverless function. We don't have a server behind, and API Gateway, which is a gate between the client and the backend service. With that concept, we can pass to CDK. The CDK, or Cloud Developer Kit, is an open source software development framework to define your cloud application resource using familiar programming language. So if you are a Python developer, for example, you can create the template file to deploy on AWS using Python or NodeJS, Java, .NET, etc. You can use that to create all the infrastructure as code, as using the language program you prefer, and deploy that on CloudFormation. In this text talk, I will try to share the first step with an example. So I will start listing the requirement. Don't worry, all about this presentation will be shared on Medium with a document, with a blogspot. So for the moment, I will only share the procedure to do that. The pre-requirements are AWS CLI, Amazon Console, Docker, Node.js, and TypeScript. Of course, if you are a Python developer, Node.js and TypeScript is optional or is not necessary. But for that example, it's required to share you the best way to do that. So to share an example, to create an example, I create a user history. It's as an accountant, I can zoom in numbers. That is the problem right now. I will try to resolve using CDK and infrastructure on AWS. So I will start sharing the code and how it works. First, we need a terminal, and we need to create a new project. So mkdir
Lucas, can you increase the font?
Sorry?
Can you increase the font?
Yeah. Sincerely, I don't know where is it.
I think if you're on a Mac, you can press Command plus, and it should increase the font, the size of the.
No,
right.
it's not working.
If you type Command plus, it will some.
Oh, there is.
Oh, okay. So I will be do again. So first we need to create the folder project in career project 2. The project 2. Here we need to install. Here we can do 2 ways. I prefer the first is install AWS CDK globally. So with npm install -c AWS CDK. The other way is create a project, a TypeScript project and install it locally. It's more easy if we install globally AWS CDK and run the following code, the following command: CDK init. Give me 1 second. I have the notes here. Init app language TypeScript. If you want to create all the CDK projects with Python, change TypeScript for Py or Java, depending if you want. And we start to configure a new project, an empty project, only to create all the stacks and the resources. In the meantime, we can go to Visual Code. And it's done. So now we have here the project, and we continue with that window. When CDK create a new project, we have three different types. We have the main, which is the project2.ts, where is the core. Here, all the stack was defined, and you define all the .temps or the environment variable you have, and pass to the different stacks. The stacks is the resource in close formation, where you define the infrastructure as code templates, and is deploy all the resource on AWS. The stack is defined in lib with the name project2-stack. Sorry. Here, all the resources need to be confirmed and creation to create a template and deploy on AWS. And the rest is only for TypeScript and Node. We have a package. I don't know if, give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, maybe. It's all about Node.js projects. We have the package, where is defined where is the main. And also we have CDK.json. We have all the configuration for CDK and AWS. For the moment, the most important is the app, where is defined the main project and or the core. In that case, project2.ts. Well, going back to the presentation, we have the problem. We need to create a Lambda and API gateway to call that Lambda using a post method. So we will start with create the Lambda. To create the Lambda, first we need to import the following. Import Node.js function for AWS Lambda Node.js. Node.js function is a Lambda function using Node.js, but we want to set the runtime to define the version of the node we can use. So we can import runtime and create now the Lambda. To create the Lambda, we only need to set a new Node.js function. And we need to set the scope, because a Lambda can be defined in different stacks. So need the scope where the stack is defined. In that case, it's only we set that this is successful and can be worked. The ID, for example, can be Lambda ID. And the props. Here we have a lot of props necessary to define the Lambda function. For example, we have the function name, which can be some number. A description, example. The memory size, which is necessary to define in megabyte what is the RAM memory in AWS in the function. So I will set 256. The runtime, we can set all .NET, Go, Java, but it's a node function, so I will set Node.js 16. We have entry. Entry is where the code will be hosted for the Lambda. So we can set for the moment code, some numbers, index.ts. And we can set the handle. The handle is the export name for the function we can define in the entry. In that case, I will only put main. Now, if we try to run this right now, we will have a problem because the code is not defined. So if we run CDK which create all the template for CDK, create all the template file for class formation, that's provoke a new error because the function is not defined. So to fix that, we can create a new folder called code. some numbers, and new file index.ts. To be quickly, sincerely, I will only paste the code for some two numbers. What is the important here? Sorry. Okay. What is the important here? Is the line 3. In the line 3 we have export.main, which is the name for defining handler on the Lambda. And the event, we are using TypeScript, so we need to define what type is event and which is result. In that case, it's only an epic gateway proxy. For do that, we need to install AWS Lambda. So npm install AWS Lambda and the types of the AWS Lambda. With that, we have all the environment on Node.js and TypeScript to work with the Lambda. And only with the function is checks the value for the body. And so the array of number is not so complicated, but is to complete all the cycle. So we need to install the type2. And it's done. Now, if we run the command CDK send all the stacks to Docker and create the template for closed formation. In the meantime, compile the NodeJS function, the Lambda, and create the build on CDK out. In CDK out, we have the template, which will be used in AWS, and the asset. Which maybe I didn't save it. Well, can be failed. Build the Lambda and create the compiled file. Here. So this index.js will be uploaded to an S3 on AWS, and the template will be uploaded to CloudFormation. With that, we have the Lambda created on CDK and can be deployed in AWS. We can test the Lambda using SAM. If we try to run locally with SAM local invoke, and sorry. First, we need to define the template where SAM will be search and work with that. We can use CDK but with no staging. With that, the Lambda code, the Lambda resource will be searched in the document in the user folder, not in the AWS. We can save that with template YAML.YAML. And using the ID from the Lambda, we can run with some local invoke the Lambda. Okay, the Lambda is running, but we have an error. Body doesn't exist because we didn't send an event. To create an event, we can run the following command here. Some local generated event, AP gateway, HTTP API proxy, is save that in event.json. In event.json, we can go to the body and change the value for someone can be used for the Lambda. So now if we invoke the Lambda with -e event.json, now we have the result here. Status code 200 and body 6. We set other number here. We have the sum here. Well, the Lambda is working. Now we have to do the rest. We need to create the AP gateway and integrate the Lambda with AP gateway. To do that, we need to import REST API, Lambda integration, and course. So we can start create the AP gateway with CDK. Const API, new REST API. The scope, similar to Lambda, we need to define which stack will be used that resource, the ID, and the parameters. Here we have, for example, REST API name, we have deploy option, which have the stage name, and we have the default course preferred options, which sincerely I will allow all. Yeah, it's a bad practice that, but it's an example. We can take the risk. And we allow all the origin methods and headers. With that defined, we need now integrate the API gateway to the Lambda. So first, we need to create a new resource. API root create resource. With the name, we can put some. We have also the integration. So cost integration. And here we need to define which Lambda will we be integrated. And we finish with, sorry, this count resource. Now we can create the method, which we a post, and the integration with the Lambda. With that, we integrate the API gateway with the Lambda when the user send a request post, choose the URL /sum. And of course, with a body with the numbers. With that, if we run right now CDK things, and wait that it's running, here we can see the API gateway definition as a red topic with the name testing and a lot of more things. And here we have the template, which have an API with a Lambda, and the Lambda is integrated with a method on API. With that, we only need to, we can do the following. We can test locally or deploy on AWS. I will deploy on AWS only to share how to do that. And if we have time, we can test it locally. So to deploy to CDK, to deploy to AWS, sorry, we have AWS configure. First, we need to configure AWS to deploy the new stacks. If we have configured the AWS, we only need to run CDK deploy. When you try to deploy using CDK, CDK manage all the roles and user between the resources and service. So the first instance is ask you if you are agree to create, for example, policies about Lambda, about CloudWatch, invoke function for the API, and a lot of more things. That is a great advantage, a strong point to CDK, because you don't need to manage all the roles. But of course, if you want to create roles, groups, and other things, you can create on CDK too. So, do you wish to deploy this change? Yes. And the project is start deploying on AWS. If we go to CloudFormation, we can see the project's queue stack is starting to review in progress, to deploy, and so on. In the middle, if you want to test locally, you need to run some CDK things. That's not staging. To generate the new Lambda code, the new template. And run the API using some local start API. Now we can check locally the API functionality. Locally, we can test localhost. We don't have body, we have a problem. We have put a body. Result is setting and is working locally. Now, in the deploy moments, we have the endpoint here, if we go to close formation, the stack is deployed. And we can run now with a new endpoint created in AWS. We put only the URL and the post method sum. We have the same result. And that's it. That is the first step to CDK to understand how to configure and start with a little project. Of course, when you finish to test all about AWS, I recommend to delete because AWS is expensive. So with a CDK destroy, destroy is a country. We can delete the stack for AWS. And if we go to AWS, we have see the status delete in progress. And after some times, the stack will be deleted. And that's all for the coding time. So we can pass to the next part. Is there any question, comments, suggestion, feedback, critics?
Not on my side. Really nice, Lucas.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariano. Okay, so thank you. Thank you a lot for hearing me. Well, if you have story times, things to try to tell us, please write us on Slack and we can share a new space.